Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Do you know who Napoleon Hill is? Listen closely. He may be the key to your future success. Today we'll speak to Jeffrey Gitomer, author of The First Writings of Napoleon Hill, Truthful Living. Jeffrey, thanks for being with us.
It is a pleasure to be here.
Jeffrey, first of all, can you tell us who, a lot of people today don't recognize the name Napoleon Hill. Can you tell us about him and why that name is so important and why it's going to be so key to our future?
Napoleon Hill is the grandfather of personal development and positive attitudes. He began writing in 1917, which is where this book comes from, and by 1937 had written Think and Grow Rich, the magnum opus of his career. That book has sold tens of millions of copies globally and is on everybody's Christmas list in terms of things that will help you get better, do better, and be better.
And that almost like, if we want to compare it, of course not literally, but it's almost the Bible of business. If we want one book that would go back and historically and be revered by people, Think and Grow Rich would probably be that book. Would I be correct?
Oh, without a doubt. There are more people around the world who have put themselves into a success position. Ask any CEO of any company, and I will guarantee you they have all either read, been impacted by, or followed specifically Napoleon Hill's teachings.
Now, you actually did that starting your career, and if I remember, you read the book something like 10 times, and literally every day reading a part of his book, going through his writings, etc. Is that correct?
We did a chapter a day. I met with a bunch of sales guys every morning for 4 hours for 1 year. And every day, we part of that training was a book report of one chapter of Think and Grow Rich. The book only has 15 chapters, so every month we were going through the book. I became an expert at it literally before I succeeded, and it was absolutely phenomenal for me. It was life-changing for me.
And now, if I understand, you actually write the letter for the Napoleon Hill Foundation, so that should tell people how important this man is in the business world. There's a foundation named after him. Can you tell us, how did you get into this position and what it's like to be the master of the newsletter? I
met Don Green, who runs the foundation, and I said, listen, I owe you a debt of gratitude. If you don't produce a newsletter, could I? And he said, well, we don't, and you could. I said, well, I'll do it on one condition. He said, what's that? I said, did you never give me a dime?
So you're doing this gratis just because of your love for Napoleon Hill?
I've done, well, the book is a different deal, but yes, I've done the newsletter for almost 15 years at no charge.
And as our listeners hear the show and get more involved with Napoleon Hill, can you tell us, if someone wants to get hold of that newsletter, how do they do that?
You can email me, Jeffrey@Gitomer.com, and just put Napoleon Hill in the subject line, or you can go to Napoleon Hill Foundation. Just Google the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and you'll come up with their website, and you can subscribe from there as well.
And we'll give that to people again because they really haven't heard enough yet about Napoleon Hill, but I think as you tell them, they'll realize why his name and his teachings are so important. Early on in the book, you mentioned that one of his terms was that words change lives. Can you tell us what he means by that and where that comes into the picture?
Well, what he says is that if you're a student, if you're looking to succeed beyond the other person's level of success, you're looking to be more successful than others who do the same thing that you do. You may sell software, you may build software, you may build refrigerators, you may build cars or sell cars. Whatever you do, you're going to read. And reading will lead to succeeding. Reading will lead to learning, and learning will lead to earning. And those are the things that you have to, that will impact you as a person, no matter where you are. I have a personal success formula that I've used for the past 25 years. Every morning I wake up and I do 5 things. I read, I write, I prepare, and that causes me to think and create. So read, write, prepare, think, create have been my credo for the past 25 years on a daily basis. Most people wake up and they turn on some television or they do something silly to waste their first hour of the day, and I don't. And I have a 9-year-old girl, and I have a bunch of kids, daughters and granddaughters, but I have a young one, and so you can't tell me, oh, I have a little kid. I just wake up an hour earlier than she does. I make money while other people are sleeping.
I like that. We want to follow you. If you can do that, and obviously you can, you're the guy we want to be working with.
Bingo.
Now, in the book, I think it's around page 12, you talk about Napoleon Hill's 5 steps to success. Can you tell us what those are?
Sure. The first one is the manner in which you study. If you learn to read and you learn to take notes and the things that you do, studying was mostly overlooked in school as a sort of a necessary evil thing. You had to study for a test, but what the teacher was telling you is to get ready, and you're learning that all along. You have to go at this book just as you would if it were being if you were being paid to do it. That's the second piece. So you read, you go at this as though you're being paid for it. The third thing is you have to be enthusiastic about it. You have to be persistent about it. And you have to be determined to win. If your mind is not set on success, then it will be set on doing something else. You may think that a weekend is for drinking. Mine is for preparing. I get ready. I write. I'm not a teetotaler, but I go to sleep sober every night, and so should everybody. The fourth is you have to have some kind of systematic process in your studies. In other words, it has to lead to something. You have to want to do something, and it has to take you there. And the fifth one is you have to believe in yourself. The reason so many people fail is that they set small value on their ability to accomplish anything that they undertake. And Napoleon Hill says self-confidence is the very warp and woof of success. Now, keep in mind that was written 100 years ago. What he says is that it's the foundation. If you go and look at all the people who have succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, they're very self-confident people. They have taken their own lessons and they've taken their own ideas and they go expound on them as though they were already accomplished, and then many people do. How many people you think laughed at Jeff Bezos, or laughed at Steve Jobs, or laughed at Henry Ford when he said, I can open up a factory and build an automobile?
Jeffrey, at this point in the show, we just want to remind our listeners that if you like what you're hearing, that's because you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're talking to Jeffrey Gitomer. He is the author of Truthful Living, a book on the writings of Napoleon Hill. And Jeffrey, if we want to get more information about this, is there a website we can go to where we can find out more?
Yeah, you can go to Gitomer.com. Or you can go to Amazon.com and buy the book. Just go to Amazon.com, look up Truthful Living, and hit the buy button. You can buy it in audio. You can buy it in Kindle. You can buy the hardbound edition.
And if you sincerely want to be a success, and I will tell you, this is one of those books that people will be talking about 20, 30, 40 years from now? Because it's just one of those traditional books. And in fact, I just realized something. I gave a talk on success today, which I do at least once a month. And whenever I go to an audience to get myself prepared, I was actually listening to a set of CDs on Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And I just realized the connection today that we would be doing the show. But already in this part of the day, I've taken my daily Napoleon Hill dose and listened to his words to convey the message to the group that I was talking to. I think everybody will enjoy the book, and it'll definitely propel you to success. Let's put it that way. Now, in your book, you talk about demanding success, or Napoleon Hill did. What does that mean? How do we demand success?
If you wake up as a person and you look in the mirror and you don't demand the best of yourself, and you don't demand a positive attitude of yourself, and you don't demand having goals that are that you're willing to work hard to achieve, if you don't demand that you have self-confidence, he is telling you to demand the principles for yourself so that you can attain whatever it is you put your mind to. And that's not a secret. That's like reality. It's a huge dose of reality.
And Jeffrey, one of the good, there's many good news points here, but you say in the book, all of the forces that make for your success are already within us. Can you talk about that? Because that's exciting. If we have it here, many of us think we have to go back to school or learn something, or, we just don't have enough to achieve some goal. But according to Napoleon Hill, we already have this.
You do. Everyone has that determination in their soul. Everyone has that positive attitude in their soul. The challenge for most people is they don't bring it out. They are so overexposed to negative things and negative people that it manifests themselves in that either. Every single guru in the area of personal development has said in one form or another, you become what you think about. If you think it's good, it's good. If you think it's bad, it's bad. And so if you wake up and all you watch is who got beat up in a parking lot and what burnt down, that's what your life is going to be like. And if you wake up in the morning and you read about other people who have succeeded in wild, amazing ways, you'll begin to dream about your own success. And it's just that simple. It's a very, very simple piece. Let me share with you something from the book that I think will impact an awful lot of people. It's called the 5-Point Rule. And I'm going to read specifically. Success may be had by those who are willing to pay the price. And most of those who crave a $10,000 a year position, that was 100 years ago, that's currently $250,000 a year position, especially if they are engaged in business, may realize it if they will pay the price. And the price is eternal vigilance in the development of self-confidence, enthusiasm, working with the chief aim, performing more service than you're paid for, and concentration. With these qualities well developed, you will be sure to succeed, and let us call those elements the 5-Point Rule. And what Hill is saying with these 5 qualities is you can't do them by themselves, that you have to have these in conjunction with one another. Self-confidence, enthusiasm, working with the chief aim, performing more service than you're paid for, and concentration. And concentration is the old word for focus or mindset. And he's saying that if you put all these things together, you will have the power to succeed in any way that you want. And that's what this book is about.
And we always tell our guests, if you want to really see this take a role in your life, you have to take some action. Action is first getting hold of this book, doing what Jeffrey did, read it over, and start taking some of the steps in there. We all talk about being successful, but this is what you have to do to get things started. Jeffrey, we want to find out more from you, but at this point in the show, we like to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. The show is produced at the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today our guest is Jeffrey Gitomer. He is the author of Truthful Living. Jeffrey, there's a quote in the book that I wrote down. I'd ask you to talk about it. A successful person is one who can dominate and direct his own mind and the mind of others. Is that more difficult today with all of the media, the communication and distractions we have?
It is nearly impossible. What Hill is talking about, obviously, is leadership. And he's saying that you can dominate yourself with your own thoughts and your own actions, and that will create the dominance of others because they will follow you. They will be in your tribe or in your company or in your downline, whatever it is that you're seeking to do, but you have to take responsibility for it. And you have to do it in a way where you realize, chapter 1 in this book is success is up to you. It's a powerful statement, and it is as truthful as this book can possibly be. But chapter 2 is finish what you start. And most people in today's world do the opposite of being responsible. They blame. The guy wouldn't return my call. The guy turned me down because he took a cheaper price. The guy said he wasn't interested. Well, let me explain something. When the guy said he's not interested, it means you're not interesting. And if you would take responsibility for that, you would become interesting, where you would study things that make you a more interesting person. A couple of things that I think I should point out from the book. There's a quote in the book that says, big pay and little responsibility are circumstances seldom found together. Big pay and little responsibility are circumstances seldom found together. Now think about that. How the heck can somebody go out and earn a bunch of money if they're not responsible for anything or anyone? The more people make, the more people earn, the more responsible they have become for themselves, for their own actions, and eventually for others.
That's a great motto for all of us to remember. Big pay and little responsibility are seldom found together. Yep.
Isn't that that truth was stated 100 years ago. It's still way more, I think, it's way more impactful today than it ever was. We live in a world where your phone dings more than it rings. And you're finding out some silly thing on Facebook, or you get notified that you have an email, or your text interrupts what you're supposed to be doing. It's not good. And the people who really succeed in today's world are people that can capture that those distractions and put them in a place where they are less distracted during certain times of the day. Your phone is not something where you're absolutely required to answer it every second. You can put it aside for an hour. Your world will not come to an end.
I tell people the phone has trained us what to do rather than us using it as a convenience tool and a tool of communication. It either pings or we hear it vibrate, and right away we stop what we're doing or interrupt an important conversation and simply take it to find out that our local dry cleaner has a 5% off sale or something that's of very little use to most of us.
So let me throw something at the audience.
Sure.
We're in the holiday season, and many people are going to be taking a vacation between Christmas and New Year's. This is their time to let it out, have a good time, go somewhere with their family. or go somewhere by themselves, or go somewhere with your significant other, and celebrate your year. Hill says in this book that even when you're on vacation, you have to be thinking about who you seek to become. Here's a quote. Do not, however, imagine that a reasonable vacation means a vacation free from thought. The brain never gets tired. And so when you're on that vacation, don't block out the thoughts that are occurring to you while your mind is free. Capture them. And capture them. There's a real simple process, and I use it every day. I text myself. You can use voice to text, or you can use your thumbs, but the bottom line is, don't let a thought get by without capturing it, especially when you're on vacation, because that's when your mind is clear, and that's when new thoughts come into your mind.
I love that idea of texting. People love to do that. That's part of their lives now. The cell phone is in their hand all day. If you get an idea, just text it back to yourself, and I guess you can act on it later when you get back from vacation or back from wherever you are at the time that you did the texting.
I will guarantee you that if you wait until you get home, you'll never remember it again.
That's certainly true with me. Jeffrey, at this point, we'd just like to remind our audience once again that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're talking to Jeffrey Gitomer. He is the author of Truthful Living. Jeffrey, while we took that brief break, can you tell the audience again also, if they're interested in finding out more, where can they get Truthful Living, and the website where we can perhaps learn where we can get the Napoleon Hill newsletter?
Yeah, you can go to Amazon.com and order the book, Truthful Living. It's real simple. You can go there and just click and buy. If you want the Napoleon Hill newsletter, you can either go to my website, Gitomer.com, or email me, Jeffrey@Gitomer.com.
And we'll ask you for that once again. So if you members of the audience want to get that down, remember, we tell you, if you don't take action, none of the good success principles are going to work for you. You have to do something. And if you're enjoying this show, also, you can go to nccradio.org. If you missed part of it, you can listen to the podcast. You can talk about it with friends. You can go over it again and again and begin your journey with Napoleon Hill by listening to what Jeffrey has to say a few times over and over. That's nccradio.org. Jeffrey, you talk about how to think in the book. Now, that's something unusual. I think there's a whole chapter 3, about that.
Yep.
What's wrong with the way we think? How should we think?
Well, most times, people don't understand the foundational, fundamental elements of thinking. Hill writes about it for the first time in 1917, and then expounds upon it in everything that he writes from then on. And his foundational process is thoughts are things. What he meant was thoughts become things. Everything starts as a thought. Where you're going to eat lunch, what you're going to do to make a sale, how you're going to start a business and win, starts as a thought. And the way you capture that and the way you take action on that is going to determine the outcome. So this is a big quote. Thought is the beginning of all the wealth and all the mechanical or physical things created by man. The steam engine started as a thought. The phone started as a thought. The automobile, the airplane, all started as a thought. And someone captured it and then capitalized on it. And that process is more available today than ever before. Look at all the domain names that have been taken and registered. Hundreds of millions of them. And yet, you could come up with a creative name tonight and register it and win. And don't think of it as .info. Think of it as .com. That's the foundational bellwether of a successful URL. But the bottom line is, it exists. Most people don't even have their own name registered, their own name.com. And if you have a common name, then all you have to do is put I am in front of your name. I am Bill Smith. The great Bill Smith. Bill Smith, damn straight. All you have to do is use a little bit of creativity, which is very important in your entire thought process, and then take action. The action that you take is going to be will determine how you win or how you lose.
Now, you just talked about thoughts, and I think it's in that same chapter where I took this next question. Hill says thoughts reproduce themselves in bodily action. Can you explain the connection and what that really means and what we should be looking for?
If you're deep in thought and you come up with an idea or a game plan or a strategy or a process, eventually you have to take action. Thoughts will manifest themselves in the action of another person if they believe in them deeply enough. And that belief and that self-confidence will lead to victory. Whether it's the simple act of selling a magazine subscription when you're in high school, if there is such a thing as a magazine anymore, or any kind of fundraising thing that you do, and finally to take a job or to take a career, it all boils down to how deeply do you believe in it, how happy are you at it, and how much action are you willing to take. And what Hill says is you only fail when you quit. And that's the process that he lives his life by.
I like that as another takeaway. You only fail when you quit. I think that's something we could all put on our phones or on the wall and keep ourselves reminded of it all day long. Jeff, what did you, in your studies in Napoleon Hill, was there one saying or one philosophy that you would say guided your life and made you successful?
Yeah, there is. I have always believed that anything that you want to do, if you make the goal to do it and you work at it every day, eventually you will achieve it. But you have to believe in yourself and your capability, or you will not. I've written 15 books. I never started out to write a book. I just wrote a weekly column. And I realized after the second or third one, hey, if I write 100 of these, I got a book. And so instead of writing a book, I just wrote columns for 2 years. And I had enough. I wrote 100 columns at 1,000 words apiece. I actually had to edit it down in order to be able to create my first book. And I've been writing that way ever since. So I've done it on steady discipline, daily self-discipline. The great Jim Rohn says that simple self-disciplines repeated over time will lead to success. And that's all you have to do to realize what your capability is. Most people quit way too soon.
I think that's all of us, and I like that as a reminder that if we kind of hang in there, we can get and be as successful as you are, and certainly follow the writings of Napoleon Hill. Once again, the title of the book is Truthful Living. It's by our guest, Jeffrey Gitomer, Gitomer. And Jeffrey, can you tell us that website and how we can get more about the newsletter?
Sure. You can go to Gitomer.com, Gitomer.com. Click around. You'll find everything. There's search engines. You can find all my stuff. Or go to Amazon.com, search my name or search Truthful Living, and you'll find all kinds of resources at very reasonable prices.
And if you like what you're hearing today, but you didn't get the whole show or you want to hear it again, go to nccradio.org, go to Podcasts of the Secrets of Success, and listen to what Jeffrey has to say and go out and get a copy of the book. Jeffrey, thanks so much for being with us. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.